Coming up, we hear from county leaders about the Knott County Sportsplex as they are having trouble paying off existing debt while the building itself is in need of repairs. And we'll catch up with a former well-known business owner in Perry County about his battle with cancer and his next new book.
And the calendar says it's the final week of December. Mother Nature says it's more like early October. I'll have all the details on the way as First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Knott County is facing some financial challenges as we head into the new year, with damage at the Sportsplex adding up to millions of dollars. WYMT's Jay Saylor has the latest from one county official on the plan moving forward.
The Sportsplex behind me here in Knott County is loved by the community and used daily by many who live here. As we have previously reported, there is structural damage in parts of the Sportsplex, and Knott County Judge Executive Jeff Dobson tells us the necessary repairs to fix them add up to around $4.5 million. Dobson adds they are currently under litigation, but says the responsible party will be in charge of fixing the damages.
We have had some issues, and we recognize them. We contacted our legal counsel or county attorney here in the county, and we was directed into the right direction to file legal action against the responsible party. We owe roughly $4.5 million.
Dobson says they do not want taxpayer dollars going toward repairing the damage. We are told the Sportsplex is still open despite these damages, and Dobson says 90% of the building is still usable. In Knott County, Jade Saylor, WYMT Mountain News.
Dobson says the fire marshal recommended barricading off the damaged parts of the building, and they have followed the guidelines to remain open. We'll have more on this later tonight. Fighting cancer since 2007, former business owner William Crawford took up writing about his experiences during his treatment. What came of that was Jimmy's Journey, published last year to a great response from across the region. Now Crawford is back to work on a new book, this one being nonfiction. Titled Emma's Story, Crawford says the book is based on a late family friend.
It's a lady that I knew up in the state of Virginia, and I've started writing on it, and it's a process. Jimmy's Journey took me about 10 months, and I figure this one will take several months to finish, but it's going to be a good story.
Crawford's original work, Jimmy's Journey, has sold more than 200 copies since publication.
A warm and cloudy one around the region as we head through the remainder of our Monday. Temperatures in the 60s. Yes, the 60s. As we head into the final week of 2021. 64 right now, in fact, at Buffalo Mountain here in Perry County. You can see how quickly those clouds are moving as we get those new frames in. So yeah, it's a bit breezy out there too. London Corbin Airport sitting at 62. A little bit of sogginess there on the runway at the airport, but otherwise we're mostly dry around the region. Low to mid 60s for just about everybody throughout the region. Even Ashland pushing upper 60s right now at 68. Few sprinkles possible as you head towards places like Harlan, up towards Hyden, Manchester at this hour, Barberville as well. Trying to make it on into Hazard, but they start to fade out as you head out into Perry County. But everything here continues to scoot on off to the east. Maybe if those few sprinkles continuing as well. So keep the umbrella handy, though. Breezes will calm down, but we'll start to increase the number of showers we see as a frontal boundary tries to make its way toward the region tonight. Mid-50s out there for overnight lows. And that's not the only chance of rain we'll see in the next few days. I'll have the details on that coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. NASA and the European Space Agency are celebrating the launch of the world's most powerful telescope. The James Webb Telescope departed from Europe's spacecraft in French Guiana on Saturday. After the telescope left Earth, NASA tweeted, quote, "The beginning of a new, exciting decade of science climbed to the sky." CNN reports the telescope is the world's most powerful and complex space observatory. The science world is hoping it will be able to look deeper into the universe and answer questions about the solar system. It's also expected to study exoplanets in new ways. India's government has blocked Mother Teresa's charity from receiving foreign funds, saying the Catholic organization did not meet conditions under local laws, dealing a blow to one of the most prominent groups running shelters for the poor. The Home Ministry says Missionaries of Charity's application for renewing a license that allows it to get funds from abroad was rejected on Christmas. The ministry says it came across adverse inputs while considering the charity's application. It did not elaborate. Its troubles come in the wake of a string of attacks on Christians in some parts of India by Hindu groups who accuse pastors and churches of forced conversions. A 14-year-old has been charged with shooting a police officer in North Carolina. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department reports the officer was shot while investigating a car break-in on Monday. Officers arrived to an apartment complex in East Charlotte and confronted the suspect. After a foot chase, the teen turned and shot an officer. That officer has non-life-threatening injuries and is expected to be released from the hospital today. Police say the teen is being charged with attempted murder of a police officer and robbery. South Africans paid tribute to anti-apartheid hero Desmond Tutu at his former cathedral and family home a day after he died in a Cape Town nursing home at the age of 90. Tutu, who was a Nobel laureate who had preached against the tyranny of the white minority, was beloved by black and white South Africans alike as the nation's moral conscience. Mourners gathered with bouquets of flowers outside St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town, the site from which Tutu led numerous campaigns and marches against apartheid.
I feel very privileged in the relationship that I've enjoyed with the Archbishop. It was, in many respects, a relationship of that of parent to child. We're a generation apart in age.
Tutu won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1984 in recognition of his nonviolent opposition to white minority rule. A decade later, he witnessed the end of that regime and chaired a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to unearth the atrocities committed under it. COVID cases are up around the nation, and there are fears the holidays could make those numbers even worse. Daily cases have spiked to more than 176,000 people, the highest rate in nearly a year. Even as the country sees more breakthrough cases with Omicron, health officials continue to push for all Americans to get vaccinated.
Obviously, a lot of infection happening around the country. What I'm worried about is people basically not being careful at this moment. I do think it's safe for people to gather, but the best way to do it is make sure everybody's vaccinated, at least all the adults are, and then use rapid tests if you can get them.
And now those home tests sold out at many locations, forcing many people to spend part of the holiday weekend waiting in lines to get tested. President Biden has vowed to increase federal testing sites and is buying $500 million at-home tests with plans to mail them out for free. But that won't start until January. More than 2,000 flights have been canceled globally today due to the Omicron coronavirus variant surge. According to the website FlightAware, there were more than 700 cancellations early this morning within, into, or out of the United States, and more than 3,000 flights were delayed. More than 6,000 flights have been canceled worldwide since Christmas Eve as airline staff and crew call out sick. The possibility of a second coronavirus vaccine booster shot is being tested, and a massive lockdown in China has gotten even tougher for residents. CBS's Riley Carlson has more on that from London.
A 5-day lockdown in the Chinese city of Xi'an has gotten even stricter. In the city of 13 million, no vehicles are allowed on the roads. Only one person per household can leave for supplies every couple of days. And residents are getting at-home, door-to-door COVID tests. 650 cases have been detected since early December, which may not seem very high. But it's part of China's zero COVID strategy, and authorities are being even more vigilant ahead of the Olympics in February. The quick-spreading Omicron variant is causing a surge in demand for tests and logjams at testing sites like these in Australia. And at a hospital in Israel, a test group of 150 medical staff received a 4th dose of the coronavirus vaccine.
Hopefully, we'll be able to show here that this 4th booster really provides protection against the Omicron, which is highly needed.
The country is considering offering a second booster to vulnerable people in an effort to stay on pace with the new variant. Riley Carlson, CBS News, London.
Starting tomorrow, Germany is imposing new restrictions on gathering sizes and closing nightclubs ahead of New Year's Eve. And some news just in on COVID and the Omicron variant. U.S. health officials are now cutting isolation restrictions for Americans who catch COVID from 10 to 5 days, and similarly are shortening the time that close contacts need to quarantine. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officials say the guidance is keeping with growing evidence that people with COVID are most infectious in the 2 days before and 3 days after symptoms develop. Shoppers apparently turned out in droves to grab up holiday deals. MasterCard released a new report showing U.S. retail sales rose 8.5% year over year between November 1st and Christmas Eve. The credit card company pointed to clothing sales as helping drive the surge. According to the report, in-store sales during the holiday period jumped more than 8% compared to last year. Still, online shopping saw significant growth, accounting for nearly 21% of total sales over the holidays. Preparations are underway as people put the finishing touches on floats that will take part in the Rose Parade on January 1st. This year, the theme is Dream, Believe, Achieve. While the United States has been hit by surging cases of COVID, both the Rose Parade and the Rose Bowl are expected to go forward at the beginning of the new year. Last year's Rose Parade was canceled because of the pandemic. The city of Burlington, Vermont has decided to donate half of all overdue parking fines to a local food pantry through the middle of January. The city says collectively residents owe about $900,000 and hopes this new Fines for Food program will inspire residents to pay off what they owe while helping feed their neighbors. Coming up on First at 4, every year a big chunk of unwanted items winds up in landfills. But now some third-party processors are streamlining the process and helping the environment.
And keep the rain gear handy as we head through the end of the year because we've got plenty of chances on the way. I'll have those details straight ahead.